how do you work to inform and address the detriment that loss of the ancestral homeland incurs on our personal health and well-being?
Well, it all goes back to that question of sovereignty again. I think this is a good place to introduce how the Celtic Medicine Wheel works. The Celtic Medicine Wheel, like the medicine wheels of all traditions, is both a without and a within construct. It was meant to explain the world as they knew it, as the ancients knew it. It provided a proper order to things. But it was not just the exoteric. It didn't just explain the world we live in. It also explained how to live in the world, the internal, the esoteric. So if we look at it, there are 5 points on the wheel, the 4 cardinal directions and 1 at the sacred center. So if we look at it from the personal standpoint, what we are called upon to do in the living of our lives, to heal this trauma and to live in a more sovereign way. It begins in the East, and the gift on the East point is prosperity. And what this asks of us is that we align ourselves with our destiny, with our own stone of destiny, and bring to the world what it is that we came into this life to do. That it is the most generous thing that we can do. The virtue that we must exhibit in connection with that prosperity, to avail ourselves of that gift of prosperity, to make ourselves open to receive it, is generosity. And there is nothing, what the wheel tells us is that there is nothing more generous that we can do than to live the life that we were intended to live when we came here. When you come to the South Point is music. And what this tells us is that everything has a song, including us. We each have our own song. What is our song to sing? What is our message to deliver? What is our creative expression that we can give to the world, to praise the world, to exalt the world, to lift ourselves and everyone else up, lift all the boats in the harbor through our own unique expression of who we are. The using of all the gifts and talents that we came in with that are, were in our backpack when we arrived. And in doing so, we are moving then towards the West Point, which is knowledge. And we are tapping into, through our own creative expression and the singing of our song, we are tapping into our own potential, and we are tapping into a greater knowledge of who we are. The gift of the West Point is knowledge. And that doesn't mean knowledge like you get from books. You could read all the books in the library and know nothing about who you are. And even Jesus said that. If you don't know who you are, you don't know anything. And conversely, if you do know who you are, if you have answered that question, who am I, to the deepest extent that you can, you understand the mysteries of life. You understand a lot, and you have wisdom that is enviable. And there is nothing that the Celts envied more than great wisdom. And you're converting that knowledge into wisdom, essentially. But it's not easy to be ourselves, is what the wheel tells us. And you're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged by others, and you're going to be challenged by things within, like your own fear, where you may look out and you may say, oh, I'd love to be on the stage and I would love to bring my music to the world, but I have enormous fear about doing that. That's the thing that has to be mastered. That's the thing that has to be battled. And that's the gift of the North Point, battle. That doesn't seem like much of a gift. And yet we really do require the battle if we are going to succeed in really and truly bringing ourselves to the world, serving the world, knowing who we are. And it's the battle within and the battle also outside of those who may you know, if you're trying to bring your music to the world, maybe that's every recording company that slams their door in your face, but that you have to keep battling. You have to, you know, muster all the self-determination and focus that you can to keep moving through that ultimate goal. And what it brings you to, what sits at the center, just like what sits at the center of Ireland, is sovereignty. That's the gift of the sacred center. So if we make this journey in life, which is a long process of self-healing, and we devote ourselves to that, we marry this land. I have, in my 2-year Celtic shamanism training, I think it's actually on the evening of the very first day of the training, I make people marry their destiny. You know, we come back from dinner and I go, okay, tonight you're all getting married. Everybody goes, what? And we go outside, and I have a stone out here in my yard that is the stone of destiny, and everybody has to get up onto the stone and marry their destiny, to vow that is what comes first, you know, before anything else. It's hard to make those decisions, particularly when we find ourselves in life painted into a really, really tight corner. And it might have to be a game of inches, but it's the only way to live. It's the only way out. It's the only way to heal the scourge of that trauma that was experienced by our ancestors when they were wrenched from their ancestral lands.